Hi, everybody. Welcome back to boomxbeautybeat. And if it's your first time, I know that you're going to want to subscribe because we've got Tziporah Kingsbury here, and some of you may know her or may not know her. I'm not sure, from The Bachelor. She has done work on The Bachelor as a consultant and actually been on the show before. She's also an author of a couple of amazing books, and I haven't read them yet, but I'm looking forward to, I'm diving in. One is called Intimate Insights, and the next one, which you have with you, is called Revolutionizing Intimacy, Navigating Connection in a Disconnected World. Woo! Woo! Is that ever a big topic? Holy Hannah. There's no bigger topic. I don't even know if there is one. So thank you and welcome, and thanks for being here. It's great to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you for that wonderful introduction and for having me here with you. I'm excited for our conversation.
Yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be good. Stay tuned. Okay. I do want to go back though, because you have such an interesting story. You were a bodybuilder, is that right, at one time? And you know, you did one of those paths that people think about, but they don't do. Like, I'm going to sell everything and fly to Europe and live in the Swiss Alps and stuff like that. Like, what? And you did it. So I just can't wait to hear a little bit about that story and what happened with that.
Yeah. Well, I will say I feel blessed because it is my nature to do things just on the fly like that, to just jump. And so back in the 90s, I ran a very successful nutrition business. I was a competitive bodybuilder for 5 years. And I had this dream of pursuing fitness modeling, of going all the way, of what I considered to be all the way. Yet back then, I didn't have a really strong, healthy relationship with my body. Today I would consider competitive bodybuilding to be one of the most unhealthiest sports. And I didn't listen to the way my body was communicating to me. I started getting really tired. We get weighed in every week, right? So body fat gets tested. We get on a scale every week. And then all of a sudden my body fat stopped dropping and I was doing everything possible. And I realized something was changing in my body. And rather than stop and rest and slow down, I chose to work harder. And so I added on, right? Yeah, I just I'm going to do it because I can, because nothing's going to stop me. Well, it did stop me. To keep the long story very short is I woke up one day and I could barely walk. I put on 30 pounds in 2 days, in 48 hours.
What?
And so basically, right, our body's really intelligent. Wow. And my body at that point was protecting me. That's my view of it. It was telling me I had to stop and it was going to stop me because honestly, I wouldn't have stopped at anything. And so it was in that moment, I was depressed for about a month because at that point in my life, my body was my business card.
Yeah. Was it just fluid, like fluids?
Yes. So it was just fluid buildup in the body, different cortisol outputs in the body, and very confused system. And so being depressed for about a month, not really knowing where to turn and what to do, feeling like I lost everything. I just sat, and I remember just sitting one day. I don't know when it was, but I remember sitting. And all of a sudden I had this thought. I was like, wow, I have a choice. Yeah. I can either change what I'm doing or I can wallow in this and go deeper into the abyss. And I don't know, the thought just came to me. I'm just and no one's going to change this. I have to change it. I knew it. It was so clear. And so all the tenacity I had that I used as a competitive bodybuilder, it seemed like it just redirected itself in that moment.
Oh, I got chills.
Oh. Yeah, because I started going and studying different things. I started going to bookstores, staying aware of what was presenting itself in front of me, and just started learning different ways to engage with me and my body, with my emotions. And I realized that we, because it's part of my methodology, is we have to feel in order to create sustainable change.
Yes.
And so in that moment, I created a mantra for myself. And that mantra was that I would rather feel everything than nothing at all. Because I realized in that time period of being depressed that I was living numb, that I wasn't feeling. And that situation actually put me in a new situation that forced me to feel more physical and emotional pain than I'd ever felt in my entire lifetime. Yeah.
Wow. I just had a conversation. It's so wild, Tziporah, yesterday, and we're talking about, and it was about humanness, and we're put on this earth to feel our emotions and how much time we spend pushing them away and pushing them down and silencing our own feelings. And then, they'll come sooner or later, but when they come, they can be pretty intense, like overwhelming. And so then what happened from there? What did you do?
Yeah.
It's just like a juicy.
So I stayed, I was in Southern California at the time, and I continued to do my work for about a year.
Mm-hmm.
But inside, I felt like I was just in this tornado. I wasn't over the hump. I wasn't beyond the storm yet, but I wasn't in the heaviness of the storm. It was kind of just in this in-between place.
Right.
And I was just like, something has to change.
Yeah.
And I knew, I don't know. I just knew I needed to go somewhere, not to sit on my ass to kind of retreat, but to actually go somewhere where I could learn and study, but also that the environment created a space for me also to work on my own self-growth and healing. And so I did a Google search. You can find anything on Google, right? It's crazy.
That's right.
I don't know what I typed in, but a school in the middle of the Swiss Alps popped up on the screen. Is in a little Swiss German farm village called Kiental. And the school itself is called Kientaler Hof. If anyone wants to check it out, I highly recommend going. So I saw that on the screen and my body was like, oh my God, that's where I'm going. And I was 29 at the time. I'd never left America in my life. And I'm just like, you got to be kidding. I'm going to Switzerland. How the heck am I going to get to Switzerland?
And what kind of school was it?
The Kientaler Hof was the International School of Shiatsu and Cranial Sacral. They used to be at Old Kushi Institute, a macrobiotic institute. And they housed every week a different educator, teacher, spiritual practitioner from around the world came in hosting a different seminar and training from every background you can think of. From somatic therapy to body work to transcendental work to meditation to nutrition to breath work. It was everything you can think about was there. And I'm just like, I'm going to go live there.
Wow.
Because I'm going to be a sponge. Because if I live there, man, I'm going to be studying from everybody. And it was in the Swiss Alps, so it gave me also an environment to heal. To be with myself. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And you just didn't do that. I hope it's okay are you open for me talking about anything? Okay. You went into a little place of celibacy for a while. And here you are, you're an intimacy expert, and you went celibate. What was that, and how did that help you?
Yeah, so celibacy, I like to say it found me because it wasn't this deliberate, I'm going to be celibate as a practice. It was at the same time in my life when my body collapsed. I also was in this whirlwind of relationships, very unsatisfied. If I wasn't feeling myself, I definitely wasn't feeling other people and wasn't really satisfied in my relationships. And so when I chose to go to Switzerland, I also do things very intentionally, and I made a commitment to myself. Was in that moment, I devoted myself to recommitting to a relationship with my body, my mind, my sexuality, and spirit. And the only way that I could do that to start off with was to be with me.
Yes.
Which is celibacy, because I was scared to be with me at that moment of my life. Anything else would interfere. So being celibate gave me the space and the time and the energy to just explore life.
Wow.
Explore me. And just, I lived in Europe for 6 years, exploring life without engaging sexually with another human. And it just provided such a platform, because my background is a lot in mindfulness, but for me to kind of cultivate this inner lover. Like if someone asks me how to be a better lover,
yeah,
I'll tell them to start to do mindfulness practices, start to move away from necessarily engaging sexually, start to breathe deeper, start to engage in yogic traditions, because that to me is what made me more aware and connected to be a good lover.
And then you go from that and you decide somehow this is the direction I'm going to take, from being celibate to now focusing on this. And I just got to say, and this is probably an aside, is that when I watch you speak or watch you do videos or anything like that, you ooze sensuality. I'm sorry. I mean, you must have male customers going, what the? I want some of that, because you just ooze it. And not everybody, not very many people do actually. So it's just something you have. It's like some kind of gift you've given yourself. I don't know. So tell me a little bit about that choice to move in this direction. You saw a gap, I suppose, where there wasn't enough.
Yeah. I was working with people. I'm always good at being a hand holder. Like I love working people who actually need their hand held. It's just, I love soothing people. And even in the nutrition world and the fitness world, I did that. But what was lacking for me was this connection with our sexuality, with our sensuality, with the emotional intimacy. Like where was that? That was missing. And you talk about like oozing sensuality. For me, and part of the methodology that I teach in redefining intimacy, I ooze it because I feel so grounded and in my body. But I got there by devoting myself to daily practice. That had nothing to do with sex.
Yeah.
I often joke and say I'm the Miss Miyagi of intimacy, like the wax on, wax off, the old Karate Kid movie.
Totally.
Because that's how I work, because we need to, or I did, I'll say, cultivate that part of me that now when I move, like talking to you right now, like I feel it so deep in my body. Like it's like I'm connected to everything because I'm just maybe so present and aware.
So being grounded is the sexiest thing you can do in a way. Yes. So people don't think like that. They think external, but it's actually so internal. And like you said, Miss Miyagi, is that you take, and that's what people crave the most, is they crave intimacy, but don't know how to get from their partner what they want. And it doesn't start there, is what I'm hearing. It starts way before, and you have to do some mastery first, a lot of it probably, before you get really good at this. Is that the idea?
Yes. And one of the things you think about, I call it intimacy by numbers. Okay. Right? That's what people learn. People want to learn a technique on how to be more intimate with their partner, yet they're not feeling it in their body. And so for those listening in, I want to say, how often have you felt your partner or you, when it comes to intimacy, it was very mechanical? And that's because you're learning it from here. You're not learning it from a grounded space.
Yeah. And
so when we're able to realize that intimacy is from an inner connection, I can now go to my partner and share intimacy. But I'm not grabbing for it. Like they're not responsible for it.
Oh, yes.
It's a little different play with words and a mindset. But when we start to feel a lack, it's automatic that we reach for our loved ones to fill that void. But that can be sabotaging for any relationship. Yeah.
Well, I want to talk about, this is coming up. This is not on my question sheet, by the way, but it's thoughts that are coming up as you talk. One thing that women, talk about a little bit, but not a lot, is that I think that many of us are built differently. Not all women. Like I'm not that much of a morning person. Men, bing, morning. And if I get approached in the morning and oh, it's like a physiological need for them. And then for us women, it's like, I want to feel pretty and present and all that. And right now I got bad breath and I feel groggy. I don't even feel anything right now. I can't give that much. I mean, I can give a little, but it's sort of seems to be, I don't know what God had going on putting men in the morning like that. And we're more afternoony, evening-y, when we feel a little more, when we feel a little better. But it can be a real problem because men, have this 7 in the morning, whatever thing, and women just our juices aren't flowing yet. And we don't feel like we don't even want to be touched usually, bad breath and everything. What do you do with that? How do you navigate that?
Yeah.
And it's constant. It's been going on for decades,
Yeah. So first, I would say it's individual based because I know I'm what's coming to mind actually is one relationship, a lover of mine, and I loved when he would approach me in the morning. We'd make love in the morning. It was hot.
Yeah.
Like I loved waking up to that.
If you're that person,
it's
like
it's depending on the polarity. It's depending on the individuals at play. However, one of the things I share about sexuality in general is only engage in sex or certain acts of sex where you feel alive engaging in.
Yeah.
Because when we engage sexually thinking like we have to do this because it pleases my partner, I think that's so common in the world of sex, is that it also sabotages the relationship. I feel I feel it's a very unhealthy choice because if you're not enjoying it, but you're doing it, one, you're creating harm in your own body, right? You're constricting the energy. Emotionally, you're constricting. So that's going to create even potentially a trauma loop and also distance in the relationship and resentment along the way. Versus how can we be responsible for our pleasure? And if you're talking about, it could pertain to morning sex, it could pertain to a lot of other things sexually, but how can we have conversations about our sexual desires and our wants and our needs, and then talk about, well, what excites both people? And then aside from that, it's like, if, for example, the male partner woke up excited and aroused and wanted to engage in sex, and for the feminine part of that relationship that, her body felt constricted, she felt closed off. Well, what would be the strategy to make that work? Would it help her to get up for an hour and take a shower or go for a jog? Would it help to cuddle and breathe together in the morning instead of having penetrated sex? Like, what's going to create that intimacy? Would it help that he engaged in self-pleasure while she witnessed it? I find if we can bring more creativity and out of the box thinking to the relationship, which it's not naturally taught to us, is it will benefit the relationship and the sex life.
Yeah. And I think we live in can be in a very sleep deprived world. And especially me, I'm in menopause now, and I might have night sweats, and then I'm up from 3 to 5:30. So then if you're coming in and I finally get back to sleep at 7, if you come ding donging at 7:15 after I finally got to sleep and I'm exhausted because I haven't slept enough, that's not fun. That's not fun. And women get that a lot. We get that a lot. So I really appreciate you. I know for me, just to even get a strategy going, we had to schedule it because we're so busy. And is scheduling a good thing? Because that seems to be the only thing that can work for us. Otherwise we can go months and then, doing our own thing. We have to actually practice a schedule.
Yeah. I believe that if people have busy lives, so yes, I totally agree with scheduling. And if people have busy lives and they're noticing there's a lack because they get caught up in the busy world, it could be scheduled just like you'd schedule a business meeting. You schedule a sex date. You schedule I call it a play date. You schedule a play date. And even within that play date, in my thoughts, there also wouldn't be an agenda.
Yeah.
Like, so we're getting together, we're going to have a play date. It might just be foreplay. We might breathe, we might laugh. There might be penetrative sex, but it's kind of like there's no agenda, only to allow less stress to be there, especially if we're scheduling. Because
Yeah.
scheduling can feel stressful. How do I get in the mood? But you
Yeah.
don't have to get in the mood. Just know you're going to have a play date and anything can go.
You know, I really loved watching some of your exercises. One of them was really, I mean, it was hot. I was getting all hot and bothered, and it was only like a minute and a half thing. It was a breathing thing that you did on The Bachelor, I think it was. I'm like, damn, something so simple but so powerful. It was unbelievable. Because I just get nervous every time I feel a little bit of pressure. And just having those, you know, strategies and exercises that you teach, it's just unbelievably different, and it actually really builds this anticipation and excitement. It was smoking. I was like, dang, I really need to learn some more things. But so you can work in conjunction, right? You could spice things up in your relationship at the same time. Start working on yourself. Could you do it at the same time? Because you got to keep everything rolling, you know. Life
Absolutely, you can do it at the same time. And often when I work with couples, I'll work with the couple, but then on the opposite week, I'll work with them as individuals.
Ooh, that's smart.
Right?
That's
So they're
smart.
working because we all come into relationship with our own stuff.
Yeah.
And so they have to work on their own stuff, and then they can go back and bring it into the relationship, you know, bring in the tools and the techniques and the practices. So absolutely work on yourself and the relationship and play.
Yeah, it's hard to have an imagination, especially been together for a while. Like you just get into these ruts and into these routines, and it becomes very mechanical. But what I really feel like you do is you ignite the imagination, like nobody's business. It's crazy, and it's all still there. It's just kind of buried, right? Like we get kind of buried. Is that the problem? Like, why do we get so messed up and stuck?
Yeah, well, you know, it's interesting. Some of us are conditioned not to talk about it. The running joke I have often is everyone's having sex, but no one's talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, if you can't talk about sex, you really want to stop having sex. Because talking about our desires with our loved ones, our fantasies, in itself, the conversation is it's foreplay for me. Like I love listening to someone's sexual fantasies and desires, even if they're not mine.
Yeah.
But it's because the love for the person and the excitement to see how much they desire it and get aroused by it. And what I've seen in the people that I work with, sometimes it's just like just speaking of desires and sexual fantasies is really edgy and scary because it's vulnerable. Well, what if my partner freaks out? What if they get scared and run in the other direction? So I help people with methods and steps to actually apply specific communication techniques to these moments to just make them easier, to make them feel safer, to make them feel inclusive for everyone involved.
And I think that a lot of times what happens in couples is that maybe either one person wants it more than the other. I know when you get into your 50s, again, like a lot of my audience are going to be the 50 plus woman. That's who we're going to get. And they're going to be like, I don't feel like doing nothing anymore, because your hormones change and you lose fantasies. You don't even think about sex anymore. But you still have to keep your relationship going and alive. So it's almost work to get the fantasies again. You have to figure out how to get your juices flowing again, because like I said, your hormones are changing and your desire levels change and stuff like that. Yeah. You're not there yet. You're too young for this stuff. But
I know, I'll be honest, I'm actually perimenopause.
Ooh.
And so I have intense night sweats and hot flashes. And I work with Ayurveda and Chinese medicine. So yes, I am there. But I also find I look at sexuality in a different way. I don't feel sexuality or sex is limited to penetration.
Okay.
And I think that's a mindset that would really serve to be shifted for a lot of people.
Okay. Because
it could be very limiting, especially if, you get to the stage or you're going through a phase in life that, physically I don't want someone penetrating me. You know, I just don't want that. Well, the question that I would ask is what would feel connective? You know, for me, I can imagine
That's a
going
great.
8 hours. I mean, 8 hours literally, I've been there, of doing partnered breath work with someone,
Ooh.
engaging in specific touch practices and sensual massages, and never having penetration, but I call them an ingasm. So the orgasmic energy turns into an ingasm, and the whole body just gets electrified. And that's so beneficial for even our well-being. And you never once have to be penetrated. It is possible.
So that would, I mean, that just you talking about it, I already feel like I could see how that could get you kind of more heated up on the inside, because things are, pretty chilly a lot of times. I'm fantasizing about a foot rub, for crying out loud, like, things like that are, not necessarily, like you said, penetration. Oh, this is so brilliant. This is so brilliant. How'd you get so smart? I guess all your Swiss Alps schooling helped, huh?
Yeah, yeah, I guess, along the way, I find it's a combination for me of study, as well of experience and being present. I think life is such a book. It's the best book we have.
Yeah.
And being present to diving in and listening and being available for it all.
And who are your most, tried and true customers? Who do you get most?
It's fascinating when I track it, because I've tracked it a few times over my career to just like check in. Okay, so who is my audience? Who comes to me? And most of my clients are high achieving, like type A personalities.
Ah.
And they are epically successful in the business world.
Yeah.
But when it comes to their personal world, they lack confidence and emotional intimacy.
Mm-hmm.
They yearn for more vulnerability. And they also yearn to be able to ask for what they vulnerably need.
Oh.
And so that's who I work with. I help high achieving adults to develop the confidence and the self-esteem, but also the inner peace inside themselves, to have more emotional intimacy in their life and to live a more fulfilled life, more expressed, both personally and professionally.
Wow. Well, do you tell me about the future and what's coming up and plans and things like that? Geez, you're doing a lot with this. I mean, you've done a lot already, but do you have any goals, what you want to do with this whole career?
God, so many goals. So I do have a goal to have a TEDx talk. That is a big dream of mine, to be honest. I would love to, within 12 months, to get on the stage and do a TED Talk.
Oh, I would love it if you did that. Well, we've had some TED Talk speakers come on here. So maybe if they're watching this, because a lot of them are subscribed, you can reach out to Tziporah and help her get on the stage, because you've just set your intention, you see. And that's what we talk about, is once you say it out loud, it really makes it a lot more real. And so this could be the wheel that just started cranking right now. And you started everything in motion. So TED Talk would be amazing. Yes.
Yes, I would love that. And I'd love collaborations. One of the things I'm hearing from a lot of like solopreneurs and entrepreneurs is they're tired of doing it alone.
Yeah.
And I've traveled the world and done my work for 22 decades, and I love collaborating. I love finding communities where we can come together with our own genius and build something beautiful for people on the planet today.
Well, I mean, you're in a group, playlist called Women of the World that this is being added to. And what I'm hoping to do at the end of this all is to get kind of a summit together, a Zoom summit with all the ladies that we've Zoomed with. Because I see so many because I'm facilitating, I see so many connections with different women in my mind, thinking, oh my gosh, she needs to contact her, and so that could just be coming a little bit more to fruition, maybe in January, February, once this is completed. That would be fantastic. And Valentine's Day is coming up. So you've got a couple courses, and by January 6th, January 14th. So within a 4 to 6 week period, you could be really ready for Valentine's Day, right?
You could be. Yes.
Can you talk about the courses that you have coming up?
Yeah. So it's called the Mastery of Connection, Redefining Intimacy, and it's a 10-week virtual course, a live course. So these aren't recordings. These are you get me live. And we
Mm.
meet once a week for 10 consecutive weeks. And people come in from around the world. And that's something that I love is that it's an international community. The last 10-week course, we had people from Austria, London, Canada, as well as the United States. And it just blew me away. And so one of my goals with this course is to redefine intimacy,
Mm.
to actually take it out of the bedroom. Like it's natural for people to think of bedroom when they think of intimacy. But one of the things that blew me away of the last course was the students applied the redefining intimacy methods to their family, to their parents. They
Mm.
applied it to their children, like children with autism. They applied it in their corporate worlds. And so this course is to support people to feel the confidence to be able to communicate their needs and their wants and their boundaries, to feel more grounded in their body, to be self-regulated in their nervous system,
Oh, this
and
is
to
wonderful.
develop skills that actually help amplify your experience of intimacy in the world and human connection.
Mm. And is it like an hour or two, a once a week kind of thing, or?
So we meet once a week for 90 minutes each time.
Okay.
And then they have a recording loaded up for them within 24 hours after the live course
Okay.
that they can go back and review. Or if they miss a week, a lot of the students missed a couple weeks here and there.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
so they would go back and they would do it. The other bonus to the 10-week course is they get a private one-on-one session with me
Ooh.
at the end of the course. They also get, I got to plug the book. They also
I was
get,
just going to ask you.
so as part of the 10-week course, they'll get a copy of my book called
Mhm.
Revolutionizing Intimacy, Navigating Connection in a Disconnected World. This entire book is basically the nuts and bolts of my entire methodology in business.
And where do they get the book? I mean, your website, is it on Amazon too, or is it just your website?
The book itself online is on Amazon.
Okay.
And it's also on my website, but they'll purchase it through Amazon.
Okay. Well, that was a nice cover. Can I see that one more time? Revolutionizing
It's really
intimacy. I love
soft
it.
and velvety too.
Yeah, no, that looks good. Oh my goodness. Yeah, we got to get people. I got to read that. I'm
So I
gonna
want to
get
give a shout out to Lucinda Ray, who is the designer for all my banners and book covers. So she did this and it is gorgeous.
Yeah, it's got a relaxing feel to it. Okay, and the best way to get in touch with you essentially is through the website?
I would say through the website. People feel free to email me too. I am
Okay.
always open for people to emailing me,
Okay.
but you could definitely contact me through the website. I do offer free discovery sessions.
What's that?
So a discovery sessions is where we meet for 30 to 40 minutes
Okay.
on call. And we talk about specific talking points and issues and challenges that people are experiencing in their relational world right now or intimate world right now. And we see what their needs might be. And I get to learn more about them as well.
I bet you've saved some relationships in your day. This would heal a lot of relationships if people really got into this. Hey.
Yeah, I'm gonna say the interesting thing. I remember talking to a young woman, and they were young, they were married, and they were having a hard time in their relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, as she's in tears, she says to me, "Will you fix me to fit into my relationship?" And I said, "No." I said, "I don't fix relationships. I help you to connect with you again.
Mm-hmm.
And then if that relationship fits your highest values and who you are as a human, it will naturally come together."
Perfect thing to say. Perfect. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Because most of my clients, interestingly enough, I have probably 60% single and 40% couples. And so I don't focus on couple work.
See, I was curious about that. I'm like, what the breakdown would be for you. And that's, yeah, I mean, that's, I guess not totally surprising, but I think people would assume it'd be more couples, but it isn't.
Yeah.
Which makes sense when you think about what work you did on yourself and how that benefited you. And no, I mean, it must have changed you, all that growth, all that work. You put the labor into it. I mean, it's fantastic.
Yes.
Oh, this has been so great. Am I missing anything? Have I forgot to say?
So much to talk about. I don't think you forgot anything.
Okay. I just love hanging out with you. Okay, so thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. And I mean, if I can't see this not benefiting everyone. Everyone needs to become, if you were going to title this, and you're going to title this video in a couple of words, is there anything ringing in your mind?
I'm laughing. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm terrible with titles.
No, it's okay. But like your book titles, I can go into it.
You can redefining intimacy, but
yeah. Oh, that's beautiful, because you're really encompassing a lot of things with intimacy. It's not just, like you said, it's not just sex. So I'm trying to think. Okay. Anyway, so I'll come up with something good.
The interesting thing I just want to add, I'm just going to keep having things to add here, but when it comes to intimacy, the one thing I'd like people to just reflect on is sex and intimacy are two different things.
Yes.
Look it up in the dictionary. So sex is a physical act that we either do with ourselves through self-pleasuring, masturbation, or we engage in with somebody else. It's a physical act that may or may not include intimacy.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Intimacy, I define as a quality that we experience. Intimacy carries like presence, awareness, connection. It's a quality that enhances all of our experiences, not just sex.
How do you know when the moment is intimate? What do you get? Do you get chills? Do you just get this? What do you feel?
I feel this is intimate.
Yes, I do too.
Yeah. How do I feel it's intimate? I feel calm in my body. I feel really present and grounded. That's the only way I could describe it. It feels safe. Like my nervous system is calm.
Yeah.
I think having a calm nervous system is a beautiful sign that there's openness for intimacy, because if our nervous system is super agitated, right? Constriction. So if we're constricted, you can't get in.
Yeah, exactly.
But if we're soft, that means the nervous system is calm. That to me is a simple way to describe, wow, now I'm available for intimacy because I feel safe in my body.
It's kind of a warm softness feeling. I can't come up with words that well, but I know it when you're feeling it, for sure.
And it comes from the belly and not the head.
Yes.
And so a cue to give someone is when you're talking to somebody, if you notice your shoulders are going up to your ears and you're talking from, we call it a head voice, and you're feeling constricted in your belly, take a breath into your lower respiratory system and drop your shoulders, and then you'll be more available to feel. Yeah, which would be intimacy.
That's one of the first things I noticed about you was how you carried your shoulders. I'm like, oh, it's just so elegant and powerful, yet strong and soft at the same time. It's just the way you carry yourself. It's kind of amazing. Anyway, this has been great. I hope we gave people a few tidbits, and I really hope that they reach out to you. And I'm certainly gonna go and pick up the book and get onto it, get reading it. I can use some help for sure. I know I've got my work ahead of me. It takes a lot of commitment to make these changes. You have to do it, but it's worth it.
It is worth it. So worth it. And I'm going to share with you after this. I want to send a link that maybe you can share with people. It's a free gift. Hopefully it'll serve them in their home life and their life right now in the midst of this crazy happenings in the world.
That's so great of you. Thank you so much for that. Okay, we'll be including that. So you guys will look in the description box and you'll see everything. Tziporah Magic. I hope you have a great day. It was so nice to meet you, and we'll come back and do this again on your next, when we're building up to the TED Talk and everything else. Okay, take care. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.